We all know about the Hellcat. That incredible sound, clouds of tire smoke, those insane numbers, and all those viral videos showing it destroying tires and beating supercars at red lights. And look, I'm not gonna lie, the Hellcat absolutely deserves all the attention it gets. Over 700 horsepower straight from the factory, huge amounts of torque, and straight line speed that still blows people's minds even today. But here's where things get tricky. Even if you find a used Hellcat from 2015, you're still looking at around $50,000. And let's be honest, for most people watching this video right now, that kind of money is just completely out of reach. It's simply not happening. But here's something most people don't want to admit. You really don't need a Hellcat to feel crazy fast. You don't need a Hellcat to beat other cars, have an amazing time, or feel that rush of adrenaline every single time you step on the gas. Actually, if you know what to look for, there are Japanese performance cars that will make you completely forget the Hellcat even exists. Cars that cost less money, make more sense, and honestly, in many situations, are actually faster where it really counts. Today, we're going to talk about 5 Japanese machines that prove big horsepower numbers on paper don't tell you the whole story. These aren't imaginary dream builds. These are real cars you can actually buy today, modify if you want, and drive every day. Cars that perform way better than their price tag suggests. And if you're a teenager, a young car enthusiast, or just someone who loves Japanese cars, this list is going to completely change how you think about what fast really means. So get ready, because once you learn about these cars, the Hellcat won't seem quite as special anymore. Let's jump right in with the most obvious choice, the car that basically destroyed the supercar world for over a decade. The Nissan GT-R R35. The R35 GT-R is one of those cars that really doesn't need any introduction, but I'm going to tell you about it anyway. When Nissan released this beast, it wasn't just another sports car hitting the market. It was Nissan making a bold statement. They basically looked at Ferrari, Porsche, and Lamborghini and said, "We can do that too, and we'll do it for way less money." The result was a car that could keep up with supercars costing twice as much, sometimes even 3 times as much. Under the hood, you get the VR38DETT, a twin turbocharged V6 engine that puts out just under 500 horsepower in the early models, and even more in the later versions. On paper, that might not sound crazy compared to the Hellcat's 700 plus horsepower, but the numbers alone don't tell you everything. The GT-R sends all that power through an incredibly advanced all-wheel drive system that grips instantly. There's no drama, no spinning wheels, just brutal forward acceleration that pushes you back in your seat. It hits 0 to 60 miles per hour in about 3.5 seconds. And remember, that's completely stock with no modifications. But the real brilliance of the GT-R isn't just going fast in a straight line. It's how this car performs everywhere else. The handling, the grip, the confidence it gives you as a driver. The GT-R doesn't feel wild or scary to drive. It feels calculated and precise, like the car is always thinking 3 steps ahead of you. Some people describe it like driving an iPhone on wheels. It does everything perfectly, even if it doesn't give you that old school raw feeling. Now, let's talk about something that really hurts the Hellcat's pride. I'm talking about lap times at the Nürburgring. The Hellcat managed a pretty respectable 7 minutes and 51 seconds around the famous track. That's actually really impressive for a big American muscle car. But the GT-R, 7 minutes and 24 seconds. That's almost 30 seconds faster. In racing terms, that's not even close. That's not a tight competition. That's complete domination. And here's what's really wild. You can now find early R35G TRS selling for around $50,000. Sometimes even less if you're willing to wait for the right deal. That means for the exact same price as a used Hellcat, you're getting a genuine Japanese supercar with world-class performance. A car that doesn't just win drag races at the strip, but embarrasses exotic cars on real roads and actual racetracks. And once you start thinking about modifications, just a basic tune and some bolt-on parts can push these cars into a completely different level of performance. If you want amazing performance and serious respect from other car people, the GT-R is the ultimate alternative to the Hellcat. But not everyone wants a car that looks like a supercar. Some people prefer to fly under the radar. They want to look normal and blend in. And that brings us to the second car on our list, the Lexus ISF. When you first look at the ISF, it really doesn't look like anything special at all. It looks like a regular Lexus sedan, something your dad might drive to work, something you'd see sitting in a grocery store parking lot and never think about twice. And that's exactly what makes it so dangerous. The ISF was Lexus proving to the world that they could build a true performance car without sacrificing the legendary Toyota reliability. Under the hood sits a naturally aspirated 5.0-liter V8 engine, making just over 416 horsepower. Once again, that's nowhere close to Hellcat numbers, but the ISF is lighter, more compact, and better balanced. It's not about pure crazy chaos. It's about performance you can actually use every day. The car hits 0 to 60 miles per hour in the low 4-second range. But what really makes the ISF special is how it delivers that speed. You get instant throttle response, a screaming V8 that loves to rev high. And handling that genuinely surprises people who think Lexus only makes comfortable luxury cruisers. This car can really move when you want it to. And here's the part nobody expects. On a racetrack, especially a technical track with lots of turns, the ISF can keep up with cars that have way more power on paper. It doesn't overheat, it doesn't start falling apart, it doesn't feel sloppy or messy, it just keeps going lap after lap. Meanwhile, a Hellcat starts feeling really heavy and uncomfortable once the road stops being perfectly straight. The ISF is also seriously undervalued in the used car market right now. You can find clean, well-maintained examples for under $30,000. Sometimes you can even find them in the low $20,000 range. That's absolutely crazy for a V8 Japanese performance sedan with famous Toyota reliability built in. The modification potential is really solid too. Add an intake, exhaust, tune, and better suspension, and suddenly you've got a monster sleeper car that absolutely nobody sees coming. If you want to embarrass faster-looking cars while looking completely normal in regular traffic, the ISF is the perfect choice. But what if you want something even more raw and aggressive? Something that feels like you're driving a street-legal race car? That's where our next car comes in. The Mitsubishi Lancer Evo X. The Evo is absolutely legendary in the car world, and the Evo X is the final version they made. Some people criticize it because it's heavier than the earlier Evo models. Some people complain about how it looks. But once you actually drive one, all that criticism just disappears. The Evo X comes with a turbocharged 2.0-liter 4-cylinder engine making around 291 horsepower stock. Again, nowhere near Hellcat numbers on paper. But just like the GTR, the EVO's real magic comes from traction. It has advanced all-wheel drive, active differentials, and launch control. This car is specifically designed to put power down in real-world driving conditions. It hits 0 to 60 miles per hour in the mid 4-second range completely stock. But with just some basic modifications, that number drops really quickly. And unlike a Hellcat, the Evo doesn't need perfect weather conditions to perform well. Wet road, cold tires, tight twisty corners, doesn't matter at all. The Evo actually loves it. On a back road or on a track, an Evo will absolutely run circles around a Hellcat. It feels sharp, aggressive, and connected to the road. You feel absolutely everything. Every steering input matters. This is the kind of car that actually makes you a better driver. The aftermarket support for the Evo is absolutely massive. Bolt-on parts, tunes, bigger turbos, suspension upgrades, these cars respond incredibly well to modifications. Getting 400 horsepower is easy. 500 horsepower is definitely doable. And at that point, you're embarrassing cars that cost twice as much money. Prices for Evo X models vary quite a bit, but you can still find decent examples in the mid to high $20,000 range. For what you're actually getting, that's an absolute steal. This is Rally-Bred performance that doesn't care about bragging rights in a straight line. It just wants to win everywhere. Now let's switch things up and talk about something that feels completely different but is just as deadly in its own way. The Toyota Supra MK4, yes, we absolutely had to include this one. And no, it's not just internet hype and memes. The MK4 Supra truly earned its legendary reputation. From the factory, the Supra came with the legendary 2 JZGTE engine, a twin-turbo inline 6-cylinder that made around 320 horsepower stock. Once again, not impressive compared to a Hellcat on paper, but here's the difference: potential. The 2JZ is famous for a very good reason. This engine can handle absolutely ridiculous amounts of power on the stock internal parts. In completely stock form, the Supra is quick, but not insane. But here's the thing: almost nobody keeps them stock. Some basic modifications and a tune easily push these cars past 400 horsepower. With bigger turbo setups, you're looking at 600, 700, even 800 horsepower. And suddenly the Hellcat doesn't seem so scary anymore. What makes the Supra truly special is how well it balances straight line speed with everyday drivability. It's comfortable to drive, it's stable at high speeds, and it pulls like an absolute freight train once the turbo boost kicks in. A properly built Supra will walk away from a Hellcat in a roll race and just keep pulling harder. Yes, I know prices have gone absolutely crazy. Clean Supras are really expensive now. But even with high prices, you're paying for one of the greatest tuner platforms ever built, a car that can grow with you over time. Start with basic mods, build it up gradually, and eventually end up with something that can destroy actual supercars. The Supra isn't just fast, it's iconic. And that cultural significance matters a lot to car enthusiasts. Finally, we have a car that doesn't get nearly enough respect but absolutely deserves it: the Nissan 370Z. The 370Z gets overlooked by a lot of people because it doesn't have turbochargers or superchargers from the factory. It doesn't have crazy high numbers, but what it does have is perfect balance. You get a naturally aspirated V6, making over 330 horsepower, rear wheel drive, short wheelbase, and it's lightweight compared to modern cars. It hits 0 to 60 miles per hour in the low 5-second range completely stock, which honestly doesn't sound super impressive, but once you start modifying it, things change really fast. Add an intake, exhaust, tune, lightweight wheels, and better suspension. Suddenly the car feels completely alive. The 370Z really shines when racing from a roll and on twisty mountain roads. It doesn't have all the weight of a Hellcat holding it back. It doesn't feel numb or disconnected. It feels like a proper sports car should feel. And with turbo kits and supercharger kits available in the aftermarket, these cars can easily make enough power to run with much more expensive machines. The best part? The price. You can find clean 370Zs for under $20,000 pretty easily. That leaves you plenty of money left over in your budget for modifications. And a properly built 370Z will absolutely surprise people who only care about horsepower numbers on paper. So what does all of this really mean? It means the Hellcat isn't the ultimate performance car that ends all discussions. Sure, it's really fast in a straight line, but true speed is so much more than just numbers. It's about how a car actually feels to drive, how it handles corners, and how it performs in real-world conditions. These 5 Japanese cars prove that you really don't need insane horsepower to have an insane amount of fun. You just need the right platform to build from. And whether you choose the supercar-killing GTR, the sleeper ISF, the Rally-Bred EVO, the legendary SUPRA, or the perfectly balanced 370Z, one thing is absolutely clear: you really don't need a Hellcat. Now I want to know, if you had the money sitting in your bank account right now, which one would you choose? Drop your answer in the comments below.
And if you're new to this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because this channel is all about real cars, realistic budgets, and actual driving fun.